So this is part 2 to what if Ben 10 was in the MCU. Now the first video did pretty good and a lot of comments said, keep it up, and it was a really good video, so I'm just going to do part 2 and let's continue with it. Now basically the next Ben 10 what I was going to be making, I'm going to be stopping on new. I'm going to stop making new Ben 10 what for at least a week, or at least like a good amount of time. So I'm just going to be trying to finish or trying to get a good amount of part 2s and 3s to Ben 10 what else I already have, like what if Ben 10 was in Justice and all other stuff. After this video, I'm going to be uploading a what if on what if Deku was Kronos, and I don't mean like Kronos from God of War, I mean Kronos from Space Jam. Kronos from Space Jam, the golden super speed basketball player, or the golden super speedster. Now basically, I'm going to be giving Deku that ability, and maybe like having him have a quirk that makes his skin turn gold and he has super speed, whatever. So I'm probably gonna do that just for Space Jam, or I might make what if Deku was a tune, but I might just go with the Kronos one because I like Kronos' character a lot in Space Jam. He wasn't really a character; he was just a really good, person or player in the game, because like he did that super cool stop motion scene. But yeah, so let's continue with the what if and let's get into it, guys. Now I last left off where Ben and a creature appeared somewhere near the desert of, or near somewhere, after a credit scene in what was it, Age of Ultron. Now we leave off of Age of Ultron and then we get switched to, well, Civil War, because Civil War came after Ultron. Now we switch to the beginning of Civil War, and Ben is actually going to be on, what was it, Tony's side, because people already know Ben's identity already, and people already know Ben's identity, and also basically Ben doesn't really, you know, well, see anything wrong with it because he likes the fame, but he does see, something wrong with it, so he might, double cross. I don't know yet, but I am gonna be editing this along, along with as the video goes on. Now let's get started, guys. Now basically, Ben would have been with the Cap team doing the first, look, or the first clips of Civil War. Ben would be pretty much nanotech, and would have been flying after one of the perpetrators, or one of the guys flying after Black Widow. Black Widow will find out the guy. You pretty much fight the guy the same way, but the guy wouldn't have enough time to drop or try to destroy the thing, because nanotech or Ben would have grabbed it out of his hand and zapped him in the ground with his laser blast. Now I switch back to Wanda and Cap, and they would be fighting Crossbones. And Ben would have seen the destruction. So Ben would have transformed into the next feeling that he think he could save this, and Ben would have turned into Accelerate, trying to get the bomb away from Wanda before Wanda threw it in the building. He would have ran up to the building trying to push Crossbones out of the way of the building, or try to get him out of the building. But Crossbones would have been pushed to the building, and his pretty much the magic or the abilities Wanda would be using on her would be dispersed, meaning that Crossbones would just blow up. But MCU pulls a stop motion X-Men Apocalypse type Quicksilver scene with Accelerate pretty much pushing people out the way, trying to move as fast as possible, him grabbing the bomb, a little shards of the bomb that's going off after the bomb's going off, basically putting it back together and trying to get the explosion, or trying to wisp away most of the people that are in the radius of the explosion to save them. Now some people still do lose their lives. About, let's say, 5% of the original people, or the original uh civilians still died, but at least 17, at least like 17 of them still got saved by Accelerate. Now basically Accelerate ran out the building, pretty much looking over at Wanda, and everybody yelling, and everybody looking at Wanda, seeing that she cost everything. But people did see a blue blur, and they do recognize that because Ben's been on the news for a very long time. So The government does know that Ben was trying to save people, and he did, cut down the level of casualties, but he was still, too late, and Wanda still caused it. So the Soviet Accords would have still happened because Ben wouldn't have changed anything that much. Now, basically, Ben would have thought about signing the Accords, but would have been pushed to actually do it because Ben was one part of his body or one part of him that didn't want to do it, but Tony pushed him into doing it, and Tony pretty much pressured him into it. Now Ben wasn't really on board with it, and plus Ben didn't have any person else other than Tony to guide him, other than Uncle Ben. But Uncle Ben in this canon was very busy with plumber work and everything, and also Ben looked up to Bruce more than Tony. So basically, uh, pretty much Ben is kind of confused and conflicted, but he says I'm gonna need time to think. Now basically, we skip later on in the movie. We skip later on in the movie doing the whole entire Black Panther doing the whole entire when Black Panther's father gets assumingly assassinated by Winter Soldier. But Winter Soldier does get framed, but Black Panther later on does, put up puts on his mantle and hunts down uh Winter Soldier or tries to fight, and pretty much they fight. Pretty much what was it? Ben actually goes with Cap on this one because Ben isn't really well on board with Tony's plan. It's doing the whole entire Civil War, whatever the COVID Wars. Since Ben is off of Tony's team and he doesn't want to be on his team, pretty much Ben in his eyes is replaced by Peter. So basically Peter replaces Ben and becomes Iron Man's canon and original, well, new pretty much, well, basically a mentor. I know, like, what was it, like, pretty much whatever, secretary, I don't know. So basically just his the person under his wing he's guiding. So basically, we switch to since the Captain America and the whole entire Winter Soldier and Black Widow scene. I mean Black Panther scene still happened. They still ran down in the pretty much place. They still fought on the top of the pretty much buildings and everything. Basically, been watching from afar on some news cameras, and also watching from afar on some buildings because he saw where the news was happening. Now, basically, for Ben's situation, Ben was actually going back to back with Tony. Tony trying to help Ben and saying that if you lose or if you do anything, you're enemy of the state now. You can't get away from this. Pretty much Tony trying to help, Ben. But Ben is not taking it and just tells Tony to leave him alone, blocking his number and also breaking his phone so the government can track him. Now basically Ben goes off and eventually we skip to the main fight, the airport fight. Now basically I still can't understand, like, what if that airport was actually open? Like, bro, I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure like it was closed, but like if it was open, or is or if it was open, like if is it open? It probably is. Basically, they would be told that the Avengers are fighting in the flying station, so we can't take up all any of our flights. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be angry at the Avengers, them missing their flights. But let's just get into it. Now, basically, Ben would be in his pretty much, MCU costume like this, but just, in, MCU style with patterns on it, like a black military type suit. Basically, Ben would have been, and also if you don't know who's playing Ben, it's Dylan O'Ryan. Basically, the guy that played Maze Runner, and also who played, I think, I don't remember, somebody in Teen Wolf. I like his character a lot, but yeah. So basically, they would have started fighting, and the running scene would be a little bit different. Pretty much Ben still running in human form, just about to fight. Now Ben was in pretty good combat. Now Ben was fighting a good amount, a good chunk of pretty much the team. Now most of the team was actually focused and told by Tony to go after Ben because Ben was one of the strongest characters or one of the strongest people on Cap's team. Basically, them more or less focusing on Ben the most. Now, Ben was webbed up on sight from pretty much Peter. Peter trying to take him out as fast as possible because Peter saw him on the news. But pretty much into Blitz Wolf, transforms into Blitz Wolf, and breaks through the webbing, basically grabbing Peter and throwing him into the ground. Peter wasn't knocked out, but he did swing off, basically been going around kicking multiple members of pretty much Tony's team down to the ground, kicking Wanda down to the ground, pretty much Wanda pushing Ben backwards until pretty much Hawkeye steps in and takes down Wanda the same way they did originally. Basically, Ben running around more and more, taking down and fighting Black Panther actually, and trying to get him away from Winter Soldier or Bucky. They would have been fighting, but when Blitzwolf hears shots on the back of his body, and he looks up and he sees pretty much Rudy, or War Machine basically shooting repulsor blast at his back. Now Blitzwolf would have thrown Black Panther out of the way and would have ran or jumped up with his superhuman, kicks or kicks, pretty much trying to get up there and try to take down Rudy. Now Rudy would have dodged out the way by getting grabbed on the leg, getting thrown into the ground or into a airplane. Now basically he would have been fighting all the same when basically Peter gets stuck under pretty much some sort of bin or containment unit or I don't know what he was trapped under, some luggage or I don't know. Pretty much him having the same conversation or fight with Cap. Basically, Cap would have called in Ben to do something big. Now, Ben actually would have transformed into way big, but also Ant-Man actually would have been told that he can do something big as well. Basically, Cap says the more the better. Basically, Ant-Man transforming into Giant Man. Now, they would have been pretty much the amount of money they used in Civil War in this universe or this pretty much what if would be phenomenal because it would be so much CGI to do with both two giant characters. Now, way big would be way bigger than Giant Man. He would be about, let's say, 5 times, probably like the same height as, nearly the same height as the tallest building on Earth. And, no, probably the same height as this bridge. I don't know what this bridge is called, but way big is way bigger than Giant Man. I'm pretty sure he is. Now, basically, Ant-Man or Giant Man and way big would have been crushing down and making twice as much of destruction that they did in canon. Ant-Man still getting taken down by Spider-Man, but Spider-Man seeing that way big was way too big to actually, try to get him fell down. Now, Spider-Man would have tried to do the same tactic with way big, but way big is a lot stronger than pretty much Ant-Man, or a Giant Man, and would have broken through the webs easily, knocking Peter into pretty much a bunch of crates, way harder than originally, and him getting knocked out cold. And I mean, Tony wasn't even able to wake him up. Peter was knocked out cold. Look, Peter was lucky to not get a brain hemorrhage or die because he was thrown in those crates about the speed of light. He was thrown hard after way big, jolted him. So basically, yeah, Peter was critically damaged. Basically, way big would have shot in lasers around the airport and would have made way more havoc. So pretty much Winter Soldier and Cap and Bucky would be able to get out, and pretty much pretty much Ben would have made one last laser blast all around and would have jumped up, transforming into Heat Blast, boosting himself towards the ship Bucky and Cap were, him transforming into Goop, him pretty much going to the engines or the pretty much pipes or whatever that were leading out of the ship and into the ship, him going through and into it, basically him telling them like where we're going next. Now pretty much they go to the same destination and Tony follows after. Now Tony follows after, but he sees that Cap and Bucky and also they have Ben, so he does actually bring another person with him, and this other person would be somebody that basically Tony found in the records of S.H.I.E.L.D., and basically we could switch to Kevin 11. Now, pretty much Kevin 11 would be on Tony's side now. So basically, Kevin would have the same amount of abilities that he has now in like the Omniverse series. And also, Kevin 11 would be able to transform into his human form and into his monster form at the same time, or either way. And basically, Ben was actually still in goop form. Now, basically, Ben would have gotten out the ship, him de-transforming. But basically, Ben would have gotten out of the ship, still in his cinematic outfit or his Avengers suit. Basically, the Avengers logo just being ripped off now. Basically, Ben walking in there. Now, they would have gotten ready, and basically Cap and pretty much Bucky and Ben would have walked into the base, and them pretty much walking around. Now, basically, eventually, Kevin 11 and Tony would have gotten there. Basically, Kevin 11 getting super hype to basically, well, fight Ben again. Now, Kevin 11 would be about the same age as Ben, and I'm pretty sure Ben would be about at this time about like 21 or about 21. And basically, the only aliens Ben doesn't have is the new aliens from Omniverse. So yeah. So basically, the only new aliens Ben would get is the aliens from Omniverse. Now basically, and also some fan art or some, fan fiction, Benton transformations that I like. So basically, and also other transformations from different alien series like Predators or Avatar. So basically, Ben would have gotten ready and would have heard pretty much Tony show up. Tony would have flew in there and would have still pretty much confronted them, but with him getting followed after Kevin 11. Kevin 11 saying, "This might be fun." Basically, Ben locking eyes with Kevin, Ben getting super angry, clutching his fist. Now, basically, Zemo would have told everybody his plan and would have shown Tony the recordings of Tony's parents being butchered by or being taken out by Winter Soldier. Now, basically, Tony would have gotten enraged and would have been fighting Cap and Bucky, but when pretty much Ben tries to step in to try to take down Tony, Kevin 11 pushes Ben into another wall, or through another wall into another room, and them starting to fight. They would have been fighting left and right. Ben's not still being in human form, being punching walls and stuff. Ben having a few broken bones, about like a fractured arm. And not on his Omnitrix arm, but on his normal arm. So basically, Kevin would have grabbed Ben and went for the Omnitrix, trying to grab it, but Ben's safety protocol and his Omnitrix would have kicked in, transforming him into Diamond Head. He would have kicked Kevin 11 through another wall, him falling into the same type of area Tony, Cap, and Bucky went to, but a different type of area. About 2 walls away from their fight. Now, they would have been fighting then and there, and Ben would have told Kevin 11, "Why are you back here? I told you to stay away, and S.H.I.E.L.D. had you under surveillance." Kevin said, "I got out of S.H.I.E.L.D. a long time ago, Ben, and I've seen what you've done. You joined the Avengers, you became a real hero, didn't you? But look around now. Your friends have betrayed you. The friends you used to call family members or teammates are now injured, and your friend Rudy, I've heard, is almost on his deathbed." Basically, Ben gets super angry by this and saying that it all started by Tony. Tony started those accords, and Tony forced everybody to sign them. If we all just said no, none of this would ever happen. We would just be one Avenger. We would just be the Avengers, but the government would be, against us, but we still wouldn't be in this war. Basically, Kevin would have yelled back at Ben saying, "Is that all you care about? You always care about peace, war. You always care about peace, stopping war, stuff like that. It's nothing fun with you, Ben. You're always trying to do the right thing, but half of the time, you always make it worse. You're never a hero. You don't deserve that thing, and no one does. You are a mistake, and Aspen should have took that thing away from you a long time ago." Ben gets angry and shoots a diamond ball or a diamond shard at Kevin, but Kevin is too slow to react to it and he gets pinned to a wall through his stomach with the diamond spear that, Diamond had made or Ben made. Ben realizing what he did, seeing Kevin cough up and bleed out. Basically, Ben walking over to Kevin, breaking the diamond spear out of his chest, telling Kevin, "No, no, 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 I can't." And Kevin pretty much saying on his laugh, breath saying that I knew you were a monster. Him, well, fading out. Now, basically, Ben would have yelled out in pain and also anger. Basically, Ben not knowing how to control himself. Now, Ben actually would have gone off the grid after that, and he would have basically left Kevin there and would have transformed into Accelerate right over the water towards another island, basically living there and pretty much just being there, just living there and trying not to do anything and trying to stay out of the radar. Now, Ben would have cut his hair. Ben would have cut his hair, slipping it back, and also would have wore clothes like this, but not with the Ben logo, and also the jacket just being a very dark green, and him just trying to stay under the brow. Basically, Ben would have been living at Guam for a real long time, under the radar, trying to stay out of the government's eye. Him eventually moving to other states, then and there, going to Alaska, Guam, France, all around the world, staying undercover. Eventually, him going to the same area where pretty much Wanda and, well, Vision would come to be, where they would be attacked by the Dark Order. Now, Ben would have been living on his own, and he would have been walking down the street, minding his own business. Just imagine Dylan O'Brien in normal clothes. That's basically how Ben looks like right now. Basically, Ben's played by Dylan O'Brien. So basically, Ben starts walking down, and also, guys, I didn't explain this. Kevin, I was thinking about who should, play as Kevin, and I was thinking more and more about it, and I actually do not know who should play Kevin. I've been thinking about maybe, and I do not know who should play Kevin 11. Because Kevin 11 ain't dead yet. No, he ain't dead yet. Basically, he pulled a Loki in Civil War. Now, basically, guys, you guys can go in the comments and tell me who should play Kevin 11 or what actor should be suited to play Kevin 11. Now, basically, and just remind that this is like 20-year-old Kevin, because Kevin's like about the same age as Ben. So he's like 22 because Ben's 21. And I'm pretty sure Kevin's older than Ben, so yeah. So basically, Ben would have been walking down the street when he heard screams. He would have looked back, running back, him trying to settle right over him, peeking over the corner, seeing some sort of alien creatures beating up a familiar face, Wanda and Vision. He would have heard more yellings from Vision, and when Vision was getting thrown around like a freaking, ragdoll, because Vision has an Infinity Stone in his head. How is he getting folded by a couple alien, scrubs? But whatever, like, they totally nerfed Vision in Infinity War. But basically, pretty much Ben would have been running after, was it Vision, and he would have arrived as soon, before pretty much Vision and Wanda were pretty much thrown, or they were backed up into that mall place they went to. Now Ben actually would have stopped them before they threw the spear. No, they would have actually been stopped by Ben before the Avengers would have shown up, or Cap's team would have shown up. Ben would have transformed into Wild Mutt and basically would have scared or pushed off the basically Black Order. But they would have been that scared, so they would have thrown a spear, pinning Deku down to the ground. Basically, Deku would try to get out the way, but pretty much the Black Order would have been stopped by Cap's team, Falcon, Cap, everybody else. Now, basically, with the whole entire, thing about basically Ben, they would have took Ben with him, and Ben would have been pretty much knocked out because Wild Mutt was hit pretty hard by the spear. Ben would have had flashbacks to that moment where he shot and actually took another person, or really, truly took somebody's life. Basically, Ben would have woke out of his nightmare. Basically, Ben's hero nature being broken over the years because he was so heartbroken and he hated himself for what he'd done. And Ben has never forgiven himself after years. So Ben has never forgiven himself. Not once. And Ben's whole entire human nature has gone away. And Ben refuses to use the Omnitrix anymore because it brings him back to those days of glory, but also the day that he broke his code, everything he stood for. He took Kevin's life. Basically, Ben would have woken up, and Ben would have looked very rugged, or basically, black, black spots under his eyes, his hair being all messed up, his clothes being dingy, and they don't look like they've been washed for a long time, and his shoes being kind of beaten up, them just being blue Vans, green, dark green Vans. Basically, Dylan O'Brien, or Ben, or Ben was playing to the person that's playing Ben. Basically, Ben would have jumped off of the table he was on. Basically, him looking around, saying, "Where am I?" And basically, Ben would have looked around, seeing Falcon. Falcon saying, "Hey, little buddy." Basically, Falcon would have said, "I know what happened. We found, and don't know what happened to you." I'm sorry. Oh, I'm reading the script wrong. I don't know what happened to you. Now, Ben would have said, "You didn't know what happened? Kevin's dead." Basically, Falcon would have said, "What do you mean? Kevin, the file, the guy you fought a long time with that whole entire battle on the bridge? His body hasn't been found. He's not dead." Basically, Ben would have been confused, saying, "But his body was at the..." And basically, Falcon said that we didn't find any body, and no one could have taken it. And also we saw a trail of blood lead out of the area where the blood was coming out the most. So it's a good chance that he's alive. Now Ben would have had a little bit of his hero nature restored, just a little bit, but not fully, and Ben would have still been guilty because Ben still knew deep down inside that if Kevin didn't survive, he still would have been murdered. But Ben did lose himself and actually did injure Kevin really badly. And you're probably wondering, where is Kevin now? And Kevin will make appearance in game, but not now. Probably make like a appearance near the end credits of Infinity War, but yeah. So basically, Ben would have heard more noises and shuffling as pretty much Cap and pretty much the rest of the crew would have gone to Wakanda, and they would be flying to Wakanda. Now basically, they would have shown up at Wakanda, and we switch back to Tony's crew. Now basically, Tony and everybody else, after Bruce shows up, Bruce actually asks, Tony how's Ben, doing. Basically, Tony would have said it's altercations and telling everything about Civil War and everything, and how Ben joined the whole entire thing. But basically, Banner would have said, "I knew Ben would have been lost without me." Now, basically, Bruce thinks or sees Ben as a brother, or like a child to him, or like his son, because he did mentor Ben a lot, and most of Ben's technology knowing was from the Plumbers Academy, but also from pretty much Banner. Now, basically, Ben would have had flashbacks to the old days when he was slapped out of it. When pretty much Falcon says to get into game, when they go to basically get into Wakanda. Now, doing everything else up into space and also at New York when they were fighting and Spider-Man showed up, everything would go the same because Ben would have changed. Ben would have not changed the story, and they would have done the same thing that they did in canon. They would have hints or talked about Ben and say how if Ben was here, this would be a lot different. Basically, the story or the conversations being a tad altered. Basically, them having the same type of conversation though, and them having the same type of outcome, and Tony still getting folded by Thanos, and Thanos still getting the time stone, and him showing up at Wakanda. Now, basically, doing Wakanda, and after the Black Order shows up, during the Black Order when it shows up, Ben actually is told, stay here, because Ben is one of the strongest, but Cap tells him to come with us. Basically, they try to stop, Ben. They try to stop Banner. And now Banner tries to stop Ben and saying that Ben needs to stay here. If anything happens to Vision, this whole entire thing will be for nothing. Now Cap thinks more and more about it, saying that if more people come in, Ben wouldn't have a chance, and Ben would have been overran by enemies. So Ben did think about this and did say, "I'm gonna go out there in the field with you guys." Now, basically, Ben would have went out with Cap and everybody, and pretty much Black Panther would have said to lower the shields after some of the Dark Order's pets would have tried to pretty much commit ending themselves through the force fields or trying to get through them by burning their bodies through the force field. Now, basically, he would have lowered the shield, letting them in, and them fighting. They would have been fighting, and they would have been kicking them down pretty quickly. When Thor shows up, he shows up the same way, pretty much taking down the Avengers. I mean, no, not the Avengers, taking down more, pretty much. What was it? Taking down more. What was it? Taking down the Dark Order's pets. Basically, Ben would have still been in his street clothes, but Ben would have been running around, transforming into multiple of his transformations. Ben would have been throwing fireballs all around in his heat blast form, him kicking aliens in the ground, burning them, and throwing more fireballs. Him eventually getting near the area where pretty much he starts fighting around, and he eventually comes across one of the Black Order. And this would actually be another Black Order. What was it? The stabby guy? I think Reaper was his name. Don't remember his name, though. That guy with the spear that keep on stabbing Vision over and over again. Basically, he started fighting Reaper, and Reaper would have almost lost against Ben if Ben would have, not lost power halfway through the fight, because Ben was transforming nonstop during the war or during the battle, him transforming into Goop, Humongousaur, Stinkfly, all sorts of other transformations again and again and again, seconds for each transformation. The Omnitrix being overloaded, and Ben transforming back into human state, him getting knocked out cold by the Reaper. The Reaper just kicking Ben into a tree and knocking him out. Now, basically, Ben would get knocked out, but pretty much Falcon would have grabbed Ben, trying to get him out the way. Now, he would have dropped Ben on top of a pretty much okay area, or like dropped him through the window where pretty much, where Shuri was operating on Vision. Now, basically, basically, Ben would have woken up about a second before one of the Dark Orders, I don't remember her name, would have jumped in trying to take down, or pretty much take down Shuri and take Vision. Now, basically, Vision would have woken up, or, stopped the halfway through, but Ben actually would have stopped Shuri not to stop, and Ben would have gotten up in fighting stance. He would see the Omnitrix still At the time, Ben would have gotten up, basically pinning his fist, saying, "Let's do this the old-fashioned way." Now, pretty much, Maximum Midnight, Proximate Midnight, I remember her name. Proximate Midnight would have chuckled, pretty much fighting Ben. Ben would have been dodging multiple of her attacks, Ben being pretty much slowly fading into his pretty much combat training that he learned from Cap during his days as an Avenger. Now, basically, Peter would have been dodging more and more attacks, and eventually, Peter would have slowed down and would have kicked through a wall. Now, basically, Peter would have looked up to Proxima Midnight saying he did the wrong thing. Basically, Proxima Midnight being confused, her looking on her spirit, seeing some sort of Wakandan bombs or whatever, or sticky bombs, basically her spirit blowing up and pushing her up into the ceiling, her falling down to the ground. Now, Ben would have gotten up, but Proxima Midnight would have gotten up as well, through the smoke, grabbing Ben from the throat, pretty much tried to choke out Ben or try to take him out. Now, Ben, Omnitrix would have activated, doing the failsafe if Ben was ever in a life or death situation, transforming Ben into Diamond Head. Ben would have blocked out of the way and would have punched Proxima Midnight through another wall, knocking her out. Now, basically, Ben would have looked at himself, having instant flashbacks, but him grounding himself back to reality, saying, I can't freak out now." Basically, Ben would have ran over to where Shuri is and would have made a pretty much a crystal wall leading outwards from the lab, pretty much boarding all of the doors. But the window would have crashed in by the Reaper. The Reaper would have crashed in, basically grabbing Vision and throwing him out of the window and pretty much grabbing him as he goes. Now, Vision's thing would have gotten pieced back together, Vision just slapping it back together, and him fighting pretty much Reaper. Now, Reaper would have thrown pretty much pretty much Vision all around, stabbing him, but Cap saving him, and pretty much Vision getting his revenge, stabbing Reaper or the pretty much Dark Order, or the Dark Order person, whatever. So basically, Ben would have told Shuri to stay here, and Ben would have made a diamond type of slide like Iceman does, going towards the pretty much far, going towards the jungle area where Thanos would arrive. Now they would arrive there, and basically the Avengers would have seen that Thanos arrived. Thanos would arrive, and Ben would still be in diamond head form, and basically Deku would have pretty much landed on top of Thanos as Thanos appears at Wakanda, and Thanos would have actually gotten caught off guard, like actually, and he would have almost gotten dropped or like jumped on by Diamond Head, but Thanos just used the Time Stone. No, not the Time Stone. He used the Power Stone to blast Diamond Head into the sky, and used the Reality Stone to make the gravity on pretty much, what was it? Diamond Head become way stronger, and him falling down to the ground and almost cracking his diamond-like skin or his body. Basically, Thanos would have gone down to Ben's chest, looking towards the Omnitrix logo, saying, "Very, very unique weapon. Very powerful. Almost powerful the Infinity Stones. Almost. Keyword." Basically, Thanos trying to grab the Omnitrix, or trying to use the Reality Stone or the Time Stone to try to reverse the body on Ben before Ben had the Omnitrix, or when the Omnitrix wasn't fused to Ben's body, trying to rip it off, or trying to rip the Omnitrix logo just off of Diamond Head's body, but would have gotten stopped when the rest of the Avengers charged towards Thanos. Thanos would have kicked Diamond Head into a bunch of bushes, Diamond Head falling into a river and being stuck in there. Now, Diamond Head would have been really injured, and he would be barely able to move. Now, Ben would have been falling down the river, and he would have gone through more or less a dreamlike state, and he would be in a green room of some sorts with white lights, and he would have been looking around, remembering all of his life, all his past life, his hardships, his bringing ups, Gwen, everybody telling him that he could do this, that you're a hero, Ben, and you always been able to do and strive towards everybody's goals. You've been able to strive for your goals no matter what. You always push through, and you always won. Ben wakes up and makes a huge diamond pillar, pushing himself right when Thanos is about to take the stone out of Vision's head, pretty much Diamond Head falls or like crushes on top of Thanos. Thanos getting pushed down to the ground. Thanos would have been completely confused on this amount of strength. Diamond Head pretty much boxing with Thanos. Pretty much Thanos entertaining this, straight up boxing with Diamond Head. They box for at least 5 minutes until diamonds start to crack after each punch that the Infinity Gauntlet lays on, Diamond Head. Diamond Head looks at his body, seeing that is very weakened and cracked. Basically, Diamond Head getting punched more and more in the face, and his pretty much body regenerating because Ben was pumped on willpower, and he was literally reinforcing his diamond-like skin each time, trying to make another coat of diamond around his body, like he does when he makes a diamond construct, like a sword or something. That would be a new ability I think Ben has never shown. Basically, Ben would have dodged more attacks, but would have eventually gotten caught off guard when he gets smashed in the chest by a one punch type move from Thanos. Thanos punching pretty much, what was it? What was it? Diamond Head in the chest. Diamond Head would have been punched out of his Diamond Head form, and Ben would have been J transformed. Ben would have been on the floor, knocked out, his pretty much him coughing up blood before he fainted. And basically, Thor would have shown up as Thanos gets all the Infinity Stones and would have thrown pretty much the hammer into Thanos' chest. Now basically, Thanos would have said you should have gone for the head, snapping his finger just like in original, and Infinity War happening and Thanos winning. Now the people that would be dusted away are basically, what was it? Okay, everybody would still be dusted away, and for Ben would not be dusted away because I don't want him to dust away because in game would be basically the same if Ben was dusted away. So basically, Ben would have been not dusted away, but also instead of pretty much, what was it? Instead of some of the Guardians getting dusted away, so basically everybody gets dusted away the same. Ben doesn't get dusted away. So yeah, the same people that got dusted in the original still do get snapped away, but Ben doesn't. So I'm gonna get it off here, guys. I'm gonna continue with I'm gonna continue with I'm gonna continue with Endgame, and then I'm gonna continue with a couple other Marvel movies that might come out during Endgame. I might continue it after a couple Disney Plus series. See, guys, should Ben be in any Disney Plus series? Maybe he'll probably not be able to make an appearance in Loki though. Maybe not. Maybe if Kevin 11 was a variant or something. If Kevin 11 took Loki's place in the TV show, but whatever. Basically, yeah. So Kevin 11 and Ben are gonna make an appearance in Endgame, in my part 3, and basically, guys, in part 3 or part 4, should I introduce or should I pit Ben in Disney Plus shows? Now, I'm pretty sure Ben wouldn't really matter if Ben was in. Should Ben be in WandaVision, Loki show, Winter Soldier? Should he be in Winter Soldier or something? But I might, because other Ben 10 characters exist. So I might introduce that, what was it, that half Pyro Knight, or half Heat Blast, hybrid of human and Heat Blast in the, what was it, I might, have Pyro Knight and human, person that was in the Alien Force TV show. I liked him a lot. And he I don't know, he was black. Not racist. He was black, and I don't remember his name, but I might introduce that character and the hybrids of human. Pretty much. I might introduce hybrids of aliens and humans. In the what was it? Captain America: Civil War. No. What was it? Captain America and the Winter Soldier TV show. I might introduce them. So yeah. So basically, yeah, guys. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for Winter Soldier. Ben might be in that, but yeah. So basically, yeah, guys, and also for yes, guys. So what should and also who should play Kevin 11? Like who should play him? So yeah, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. And as always, guys, go in the comments and answer the questions I asked you in the beginning and the end. And well, give me your input. Always give me your input if you have any in my comments. See you guys later. Bye. Jesus, and as always, guys, have a blessed day. Deuces.